Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this session. This is day 3 of the group phase of the Inter-University Law Debate Tournament 2023. And today we have two teams who will be competing last match of this phase for the 8th of finals, which will take place at the end of April. My name is Aurélien Orange, and my colleague will host the match, Miss Anna Maria Urbanova. So I give the floor to my colleague.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to my colleague for starting the session. My name is Anna Maria Urbanova on behalf of Quarks Foundation, organizer of the Hague Inter-University Law Debate Tournament Edition 22. I'm welcoming both teams from Sofia University from Bulgaria and Queen Mary University of London from Great Britain. Welcome to the two teams. Just a short reminder, today's debate statement was released to the teams at the same time. They had equal amount of preparation for the session. The debate statement for today's match is that Antarctica should be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace, with all countries committing to protect its unique ecosystem and independence. As per usual, the two teams do not yet know which positions they will have. We'll do a randomization of positions shortly, but now it's time for the team members to introduce themselves. Giving the floor to Sofia University debate team, Mr. Kuchukov, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Martin Kuchukov. I'm studying at Sofia University, pursuing my bachelor's degree, and I'm third year studying international relations. And I'm glad that I have the chance to prepare and to show what we have prepared for this debate and for this topic.
Welcome. From the debate team of Queen Mary University of London, Ms. Tikhomirova, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Tikhomirova. I'm a first-year law and French law student at Queen Mary University of London, and I look forward to a fruitful debate.
Welcome. From Sofia University, Ms. Malinova.
Hello, my name is Victoria Malinova. I am third year law at the Sofia University, and I am so glad to participate in this competition and so glad to meet all of you guys today.
Welcome. From Queen Mary University of London, Mr. Singh.
Hi, my name is Rishit Singh. I'm a first-year law student at the Queen Mary University of London, and I'm looking forward to this debate.
Welcome. From Sofia University, Mr. Ivanchenko.
Hello everyone, my name is Svetlana Ivanchenko. I'm a third year law student at the Sofia University St. Clement Afritsky, and as my colleagues already said, I'm looking forward to debating with you. Thank you.
Welcome. From Queen Mary University, Ms. Zikuta.
Good evening. My name is Pasta Zikuta. I'm going to represent Queen Mary University of London today. I'm a second year law student, and as everybody had mentioned, I'm also very excited for today's debate to present both our position and to hear the thoughts of others.
Thank you and welcome. Both teams that have their coaches. For Sofia University, they are coached by Ms. Sofia Donskaya and Ms. Maria Merchanova. The two coaches are past participants of 2022 edition of the competition. Queen Mary University of London's team is coached by Mr. Zain Safdar and Mr. Sid Nagori. That would be from the introduction side. Of course, the debate will be overseen by three judges, independently of each other. And my colleague will now share his screen shortly to allocate the positions.
Yes, so I place the wheel now and I will share the screen. So in a few seconds the teams will know which position they will have to defend for this match. So in a few seconds you should see my screen as well. So as you can see, it's possible to be in favor, to be against, for Sofia University and for Queen Mary University of London. So now we click in the center, voilà, and we know which position you will defend. So Queen Mary University of London will defend the position against the motion. So it means, as a consequence, yes, Sofia University will start the match because they have the position in favor. So concretely, Sofia University will defend the position that Antarctica should be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace, with all countries committing to protect its unique ecosystem and independence. And on the other side, Queen Mary University of London will defend the position that Antarctica should not be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace, with all countries committing to protect its unique ecosystem and independence. So you have 5 minutes. Oh, sorry.
Yes, just a short reminder, yellow card means 30 seconds left. Red card means your time is over. You can still comfortably conclude your sentences there. Good luck. Thank you very much. Your time for preparation is now over. We will be starting the debate session, starting with the team in favor. Sofia University, you now have 4 minutes for your opening statement.
First, may I confirm that I'm audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to my colleagues from the Queen Mary University of London and to honourable judges. On behalf of the Sofia University, St. Clement Ochrydsky, I, Svetlana Ivanchenko, and my teammates Victoria Malinova and Martin Kichukov are going to argue for the statement that Antarctica should be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace. To that end, we submit the following arguments. First, scientific research is a key factor for preserving Antarctica's ecosystem and understanding how our planet functions. Second, designating Antarctica as a common global territory will boost international science cooperation. Here, we would like to point out the common heritage principle. And last but not least, designating Antarctica as a common global territory will once and for all eliminate any territorial claims made by states. Antarctica, also referred to as the seventh continent, is the vast area covered with ice and snow. Despite its hostility, it serves as a magnet for scientists who yearn to reveal its untouched ecosystems, and in particular, how Antarctic organisms of all kinds are able to not only withstand the deep cold, but also thrive. Additionally, due to its cold weather, Antarctica holds a frozen record in the ice and snow of millions or more years worth of information about past climates. The continent is also the best place on Earth to find meteorites and observe the space due to its clear atmosphere. However, although research is essential to understanding how our planet has evolved and what could we expect in the future, research in Antarctica must be conducted cautiously since its nearly virgin environment can easily be damaged. To guarantee this, the Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty in its Article 3 proclaims that activities in the Antarctic area shall be planned and conducted so as to adverse its negative impact on the Antarctic environment. Now, proceeding to our second argument, namely that by designating Antarctica as a common global territory will boost international scientific and political cooperation. The cooperation among them is, so far there are almost 80 research stations in the continent. The cooperation among them is enshrined in the Antarctic Treaty, where, pursuant to its Article 3, international cooperation in scientific investigations is to be maintained inter alia through exchanges of scientific personnel, observations, and results between the expeditions. On the other hand, in order to preserve peace, scientific cooperation isn't enough. Political cooperation is needed as well. So it's here that we would like to draw your attentions, honourable judges and dear colleagues, to the common heritage principle. According to it, there are locations on Earth that belong to all humanity and their resources shall be accessible for everyone. In favour of this principle, in a speech delivered to the UN, the Maltese ambassador Arvid Purdle proposed that the seabed and ocean floor beyond the national jurisdiction shall be considered the common heritage, since it is in the responsibility of humans to care for and protect the environment for present and future generations. Our final argument we submit is that if Antarctica was proclaimed a common global territory, this would not once and for all eliminate any territorial claims and potential conflicts between states. Due to its strategic position and endemic environment, it could really jeopardize Antarctica's existence if states conduct a conflict there. Such a conflict would have unforeseeable and detrimental consequences for the whole world when taking into account an estimation made by the American Museum of Natural History that the ice sheet of Antarctica would increase sea level by 60 meters if melted. In conclusion, as stated in the preamble of the Antarctic Treaty, it is in the interest of all mankind that Antarctica shall continue forever to be used exclusively for peaceful purposes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Queen Mary University of London's debate team, you now have 4 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you very much to our colleagues for this amazing speech. However, today, on behalf of Queen Mary University of London, we are going to be arguing against the statement that Antarctica should be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace. To substantiate our position, we're going to put 4 arguments forward. Firstly, that designating Antarctica as a common global territory would overhaul an already existing and functional system. Secondly, the change in the system would reach the sovereignty of states and could be a threat to international peace. Thirdly, Antarctica being a common global territory is not necessary to effectively protect its ecosystems. Fourth and finally, territorial claims have an impact on how unities are formed, and a common global territory undermines this. Our final argument is going to be explored in the subsequent speech. However, moving back to our first argument, it is important to mention that currently Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty System. The treaty does not create a common global territory, as states have reserved their past territorial claims, and the governance of Antarctica is based on voluntary cooperation. However, the treaty has already successfully allowed global collaboration for scientific research, as established in its Articles 2 and 3. It has also preserved peace for more than 6 decades. Designating Antarctica as a common global territory would render decades' worth of effort and the complex legal order established by the treaty obsolete. Moving on to our second argument, which is that the change in the system would reach the sovereignty of states and could lead to a threat of international peace. Article 4, subsection 2 of Antarctic Treaty establishes that existing territory claims in Antarctica are neither enlarged nor diminished. This means that the historical claims in Antarctica still stand. Additionally, if the treaty ceased to exist, states could claim the territory based on effective control principle. In the case of Islands of Palmas arbitration, continuous and peaceful demonstration of state functions is enough to establish territorial sovereignty. Based on this principle, it can be established that states still have effective control. Currently, states have presence in the form of scientific stations in Antarctica, which could be a basis for their territorial claims. Making Antarctica a common global territory would mean ignoring territorial claims of states, therefore breaching their sovereignty, which is illegitimate and also could lead to international conflicts. Our third argument is that Antarctica being a common global territory is not requisite to effective protection of its ecosystems. It could actually have counterproductive effects. The biggest threats to Antarctica's ecosystems are not the regional activities, but climate change caused by carbon dioxide emissions. Therefore, the protection of Antarctica's environment is not dependent on it being a common global territory. However, if Antarctica was designated as a common global territory, models by which to implement decision-making between states would have to be introduced. However, historical experience has shown that effective global decision-making, especially in the context of environment protection, are not possible, no matter if majority or consensus-based decision-making was adopted. With regards to a consensus-based decision-making approach, it would likely be ineffective, as states could use veto powers to undermine the process. A recent example of this is when China and Russia used their veto powers to stop an agreement on establishing marine protected areas. For this reason, we ask the honorable judges to find against the statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now entering the rebuttals. For the first rebuttal, Sofia University debate team, you now have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I would like to thank the opposing team for their arguments. However, I shall respectfully disagree with them on the basis of the following statements. First, Antarctica is the most unexplored continent in the world. However, scientists have already discovered various unusual things, such as fossils of ancient animals, which have not been found anywhere else in the world. Scientific research on the continent would be beneficial not only for world history, but also for the better understanding of natural processes in ecosystems all around the world. And the more countries are involved in this research, the better. Second, the preservation of Antarctica's environment is of utmost importance. Even though the majority of the continent is covered by ice, there are several species who live there. According to Article 3.3 of the Protocol on the Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, penguins and other animals are protected while scientific research is conducted, because it has to be planned and conducted so as to avoid adverse effects on climate, on weather, and also so as to avoid further damages on the environment. In addition, I would like to say that in Article 1.1 of the International Convention for the Protection of Animals from 1988, humans as moral beings have an obligation to act responsibly toward animals. To sum up, I would like to say that it is our responsibility to protect the environment in the whole world, including Antarctica, which is why we would like to encourage more people from all over the world to unite together for the protection, the preservation, and exploration of its unique environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For your first rebuttal, the debate team of Queen Mary University of London, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, before I start, I hope I'm audible and visible.
You are.
All right. Thank you so much. So with regards to, now I'll address the arguments made by the proposition. The third point made by them with regards to the fact that we have an obligation to act responsibly towards animals. We completely agree to this statement. And also with regards to the other two statements made, where how establishing Antarctica as a common global territory will help foster scientific research. We fail to understand how the proposition will aid in furthering scientific research. We would also like to point out in the very same Antarctic Treaty that the proposition mentions that even member states who are not party to the Antarctic Treaty can conduct scientific research in Antarctica with permission from just one member state of the treaty. This allows this clause within the Antarctic Treaty allows most member states to carry out scientific research in Antarctica, and we fail to understand how the status quo is preventing scientific research from being carried out in Antarctica. Further, the point stated in the opening statement, which regards to the fact that scientific research is a key factor for preserving the environment, we completely agree with this. However, the third article and the additional protocol to the Antarctic Treaty ensures that the environment is preserved. The proposition fails to mention how declaring Antarctica as a common global territory will help preserve the environment more. They also do not mention any mechanism or difference from the status quo in helping preserve the environment. We simply fail to see the force in the proposition's argument that by declaring it a common global territory, we'll be able to preserve the environment more. Secondly, with regards to the common heritage principle, we would also like to state that the common heritage principle is not without its faults. Where ocean and seafloor bed should be declared as common heritage, we would just like to draw the proposition's attention towards the South China Sea conflict. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the second rebuttal at the debate team of Sofia University, you have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible?
You are.
Okay, thank you. So, as the second speaker of the proposition, I would like to address the following arguments. Firstly, Antarctica is an important area for scientific research. By designating it as a common global territory, scientists from all countries can access and study this unique environment, which could lead to new discoveries and advances in numerous fields. And as the opposing team said, countries that are not part of the Antarctic Treaty can still have research, but there are also countries who have territorial claims, so this is not applicable in this case. For example, scientists have already discovered different fossils of ancient animals and unique bacteria which can be further investigated. And according to Article 15 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, parties to the present covenant undertake to respect the freedom indispensable for scientific research and creative activity. Secondly, designating Antarctica as a common global territory promotes international cooperation and collaboration among countries. This can lead to better understanding among nations, which promotes peace and stability. The Common Heritage Principle, as my colleagues mentioned, is a concept adopted in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, established in 1982, that asserts that specific resources and regions of the world should be shared by all people, regardless of their nationality or country of origin. This principle states that they are crucial to the survival and well-being of all humans and should belong to everyone. Lastly, by designating Antarctica as a common global territory, this will be a consolidation of the already existing legal framework. This can help to prevent any nation from attempting to claim sovereignty over the continent, which could lead to conflict and tension. The Antarctic Treaty is a legally binding agreement which was signed in 1959 and currently has 54 countries that have ratified it. This is the legal framework that establishes how scientific research should be conducted along with the protection of the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. For the second rebuttal, Queen Mary University of London, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I would like to make 3 points contrary to what the proposition has stated. First, we do not dispute the importance of Antarctica for environmental research as well as scientific collaboration and fostering international peace and security. However, it is also important to understand that by declaring Antarctica as a common global territory, it essentially invalidates the Antarctic Treaty, which has helped maintain the status quo so far and helped preserve peace in the region. By doing so, this will invalidate the claims made in the Antarctic region, and this will further lead to conflict, as my colleague stated previously, that nations can use effective control to claim more territory within the region. A prominent example would be the South China Sea conflict, which is governed by UN clause and under the common heritage principle as used by the proposition. But this principle is not without its faults and is unfit to apply to the Antarctic region. Secondly, with regards to the fact that it will help hold countries accountable for environmental damage, the proposition allowing all countries to have equal access to the region will result in a lack of accountability and responsibility for environmental protection because of restrictions on actions in Antarctica. Whether it is about tourist numbers, whether it is about the introduction of dogs or other animals into the region foreign to it, or the dumping of waste or mining operations will become more difficult to enforce. And by allowing the proposition to go forward, this will make the environmental situation in Antarctica much worse than it currently is. Thirdly, we'd also like to point out that that any that the state sovereignty is an essential pillar to international law, and if we go ahead with ignoring state sovereignty, this will um, this will further lead to the weakening of international law, and this would be completely illegitimate to simply invalidate the claims of the states which have laid claim in Antarctica. Also, minor correction where the proposition stated that there are some nations who are party to the treaty, but who are not party to the treaty but have territorial claims. However, we'd like to point out that all nations who have territorial claims are party to the Antarctic Treaty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now entering the conclusions of this match, Sofia University debate team, you have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I would firstly like to thank the opposing side for their effort in presenting their statements. However, we would like to respectfully disagree and provide the following arguments. Firstly, we wouldn't agree that countries may feel threat to their sovereignty. The Atlantic Treaty System, as my colleagues mentioned, establishes that Antarctica has sovereignty that belongs to no individual country. That means that no country has the right to claim ownership or exercise jurisdiction over any part of the continent. Secondly, we would also like to disagree with the statement that this legal framework doesn't declare it as a common territory. There's already the Antarctic Treaty System for governing the specific activities on the continent. All countries should abide by their national laws and regulations first, as well as the international agreements and guidelines, which will specifically help in the process of conducting research and preserving the protection of the environment. Lastly, although scientific research in Antarctica can sometimes have negative effects on the ecosystem, the impacts are temporary and are outweighed by the long-term benefits for all of humanity. It is important to emphasize that the research is conducted under strict regulations and guidelines designed to minimize its environmental impact. Throughout the course of this debate, we have demonstrated that Antarctica should be designated as a common global territory for scientific research and the preservation of peace. Firstly, scientific research is important for advancing our knowledge, and having access to all of the parts of the continent is crucial for our understanding of the global environment. Secondly, this global Common global territory will help international cooperation as it will provide peace and stability. Last but not least, settling the territorial claims will help the countries focus on the bigger problems concerning humanity, climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Queen Mary University of London, you have 2 minutes for your conclusion.
Am I audible and visible?
You are.
Ideal. I would like to begin first with congratulating the Sofia University from Bulgaria on presenting such convincing arguments. However, I would like to disagree on certain points. Whilst the University of Sofia has highlighted the importance of preservation of the environment, preservation of animals, the effective use of Antarctica for its natural resources, that was never particularly in question. This debate does not concern itself with whether the environment is important. It is taken as a given that it is. What we do question, however, is whether a common global territory is the most efficient means of doing so, which the Queen Mary University of London team has illustrated repeatedly that this is in fact not. The ATS, the Antarctic Treaty System that is currently incumbent and that is currently operative, is a much better illustration as to how international cooperation can be handled. Whilst it is still apparently a subject of debate between the two teams as to whether the Antarctic Treaty System is equivalent to a common global territory. It simply is not, on the basis that whilst the Antarctic Treaty System employs a lot of international cooperation, not all states under the Antarctic Treaty System have consulting power in Antarctica, which means that it is simply not a common global territory in that sense. And thus, by illustrating that designating Antarctica as a common global territory would overhaul a perfectly functioning system, the merits of which have been pointed out itself by the Bulgarian team from the University of Sofia, and that the change in the system would breach the sovereignty of states and could be a threat to international peace, and also because Antarctica being a common global territory in itself is not a requisite and does not offer additional benefits. I ask the honorable judges to consider to vote against this proposition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And this now marks the end of today's session and your day's 3 debate match in the Hague Inter-University Debate Tournament. Well done to the two teams. Thank you for your research and the very interesting execution of your arguments that you have prepared. As per usual, we'll now enter into a feedback session. You are no longer graded in this part. You can relax, and I will be passing the floor to you one by one. The questions for the session would be mostly, how did you find the topic? Did you perhaps already encounter some of the principles that you have presented or researched for in this match? Perhaps starting with Mr. Singh.
Hi, I hope I'm audible and visible. Yeah, so this is quite an interesting topic because I previously before joining university, I worked for a environmental blog where we actually wrote an article about how the Antarctic Treaty System worked and how it impacted other member states and what could be done to improve on it, what was it doing perfectly well, and etc. etc. Apart from that, we'd also come across the UN clause, the law of the ocean and the sea, as well as like the common heritage principle, as well as the ergo omnes principle. So this was quite interesting to be able to apply things that we had done before into a debate. And quite honestly, it was quite fun being able to speak with people about it, and not just through a blog, but through a face-to-face discussion.
Thank you for the feedback. Mr. Kichikov, how about you? Did you already encounter some of the principles that you have used in the debate?
So to be honest, the topic was absolutely new for me, and it was very intriguing to find out all of the new, like the Antarctic Treaty System. And the thing is that during our preparation, like we couldn't find a lot of materials, like when we're comparing it to a lot of other topics that we had in, like for example, in day 1 and day 2. But especially this one, like it is very, very specific, and we couldn't find a lot of materials. And that was like the preparation because of this was a bit hard because we needed to interpret the already existing documents. And when it came to case law, there were maybe one or two cases that we managed to find during our preparation. So that was a bit more tricky, you know, when we were preparing for this debate. But overall, it was a great experience, and we managed to learn a lot of new things that, for me, I'm talking about me individually. I managed to learn new things that I didn't know up until now.
Thank you for the feedback. Ms. Tihomilova, how did you find the experience? And perhaps did you already encounter, did you perhaps hear the arguments that your team prepared from the opposing side?
That's an interesting question. I have to say, I don't think we quite had any prepared arguments quite like the team from the University of Sofia. I think when we were trying to come up arguments for, we went in an entirely different direction. So it was quite interesting to see, because sometimes you match arguments, sometimes you don't. This was somewhere where we were quite, it's always very interesting to see how in the same question people can go into vastly different ways, even when it's meant to be a legal debate, which it truly was. Everyone used a lot of law. And I do have to mirror the sentiment expressed by Martin Kuchikov in that I have never studied anything of the sort. I've never truly heard about the Antarctic Treaty before this, so it was captivating to study it for the first time. But I also agree on the fact that there was very little that was expressly related to the topic, in that when we were doing research, we looked at ergo omnes obligations, and we looked at a lot of related and perhaps less related things just to try and scope out the best arguments. But it was challenging that you don't have a very clear pathway to follow. You could go as expansive or as limited as you wanted to, and that was really interesting.
Thank you for your feedback. Ms. Malinova, how about you? How was your experience? And perhaps did you hear the arguments that your team prepared from the opposing side?
Well, we did hear some of the arguments we have prepared for the opposing side, and we were glad to, honestly. I would also like to say that I was not really interested in the legal part connected to Antarctica before I started preparing for this tournament. Before that, I was really curious about the scientific research on Antarctica, because we all know that there are even a lot of conspiracy theories about aliens and stuff. And well, everybody has interests, and this is one of my crazy interests. So I've heard about a lot of scientific facts and fictional facts as well about Antarctica. And I was really excited to kind of try and involve part of this scientific research here, because as all of us stated that there was not much legal framework to quote. So I'm not sure that it actually happened, but I tried. So thank you very much for this competition. And also, I would really like to thank especially Fausta for cooperating with me, and for finding each other on Messenger last week when the technical problems occurred. I think that we managed to discuss possible times better this way and organize things faster. So very much thank you for answering me and cooperating.
Thank you very much for the feedback, and really thank you to both teams for cooperating and also working with the organizing team to make sure that the match was able to be rescheduled. Our sincerest apologies for the technical difficulties last week. Ms. Zikuta, how did you find the experience? How was it in the preparation and for the topic encountered?
Well, as mentioned by everybody else, the topic was very specific, but I would say that it made it more interesting that way. But now we have to really dive deep into a certain topic, not only into a new area of law, but into a really specific area. And as mentioned by the University of Sofia representatives, we kind of more had to not look at the specific sources related to Antarctica, but into international law as a whole and to principles as a whole, and to adapt them in your own creative way. But the upside to this topic was also that it was easier to find moral or ethical arguments which were brilliantly expressed by the Sofia University, which was quite a struggle for us in the previous rounds, finding not only legal arguments, but to look at it from a different perspective, which I feel like in this debate it was a little bit more obvious. So that was quite exciting.
Thank you very much for the feedback. Mr. Ivanchenko, how was it experienced on your side? How did you find the preparation?
Hello again. Well, first and foremost, Fausta, many thanks for your kind words. It's really, really pleasurable when someone hears such a kind words. Well, I must admit, I've never heard about the Antarctic Treaty System or about the protocols to the treaty, etc. So basically, if I must be honest, I'm not really into environmental law. When I initially saw the topic, I thought that it was a great topic, very nice, lovely. But when I tried to find legal sources, soft law, hard law, it was very, very hard. As my colleague, Mr. Kichukov, mentioned, we find 3 or 4 cases, in fact, but they were not applicable to the topic. So from one side, I felt more relaxed because I knew the process now. I knew that we've got only 7 days to prepare. But on the other side, it was very, very stressful again because of the lack of legal support to our arguments. But overall, it's really, really lovely experience. And thank you very much to the opposing team, and of course to my teammates, to you as well, and to the judges.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your preparation and the execution indeed. This topic was a bit more specific with, it's also an emerging topic that is being developed on the international sphere. And in your future careers, I hope you have several opportunities to contribute to the development of international law or national law, be that as practitioners or in the academic positions. You'll see there are certain patterns repeating in different areas with international law. So hopefully this will be a useful experience for you in the future as well. Passing the floor now to my colleague to close the session.
Yes, many thanks for this debate, because indeed it's not very usual, let's say, that Antarctica is covered in class or in courses. I mean, myself, a long time ago, I remember I got a little bit about it. But yes, at least indeed you can see as well all the possible changes that probably will take place because climate change concerning as well Antarctica. So yes, many thanks. Now it is time, of course, to ask you a few questions. Quickly concerning possible connections you might have between the two countries. So, for example, I don't know, Mr. Kushukov, have you been to London, or maybe do you have some friends who study at Queen Mary University of London?
Unfortunately, I haven't visited London, but I hope that in the future I will eventually. I don't have friends from London, but maybe making some friends from the Queen's Mary University would be a great idea.
Yes, indeed, it's the occasion. Miss Tikhomirova, have you been in Bulgaria, or do you have any friends in Bulgaria, Sofia University eventually?
I don't have particularly friends in the University of Sofia from Bulgaria. Neither have I visited Bulgaria, but I do have many Bulgarian friends. I'm a Russian national myself, so I guess I've been to Russia, so I haven't been too far away geographically, but I do hope to visit Bulgaria one day.
Okay, thank you very much. Miss Mainova, maybe you have friends in London, or you have been in London?
Well, I do have Bulgarian friends living in London, but I don't really know many. I don't know any English people actually, but I would like to meet, and whether they're English or not, I would gladly meet you guys in person from Queen Mary University. As I said before, we had the chance to talk a little bit with Faust. I would also like to have contact with the other teammates of yours and get to know you more. As it was really nice to meet you, even virtually.
Thank you very much. We'll have a networking moment again. I mean, it's not the last time you talk. I mean, there will be one in middle of April with all the teams, even those from other groups. Mr. Rishit Singh, have you been in Bulgaria, or maybe do you have some friends from Bulgaria eventually?
Unfortunately, I've not been to Bulgaria, but we did make some friends, which were from the Talent University when we went against them a few weeks ago. So I'm glad to have 3 more friends from Bulgaria now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, in case one day you go to Bulgaria, indeed, it would be possible to meet in person in this way as well. Mr. Ivanchenko, have you been in UK? Have you been in London, maybe?
Well, again, I'm not going to surprise anyone. I've never been to the UK. However, as probably seen from my kind of British accent, I'm really into British culture and into the UK. It's really very, very nice. I've never been there, but I would gladly go there and visit, let's say, the Big Ben.
And
Really, yeah, imposing.
and how did you get the British accent?
Well, with a lot of training and a lot of British series, TV shows, and music. I wouldn't say music, but I would say TV shows.
Okay. So I think nobody told me that I have a British accent. So you see, yes, it's very good actually that you managed to train already. And on the side of Miss Fausta Zikute, have you been in Bulgaria?
Well, unfortunately, I have also not been to Bulgaria, but I'm a fellow Eastern European. I'm from Lithuania, so I have traveled very near it, and it has been on my bucket list to visit Bulgaria as well. So I was very glad to meet all of you guys, to listen to the debate, especially connecting with Victoria and having the nice conversation. So yes, I hope I will visit it soon.
Yes, so yes, we encourage you, of course, to keep contact because you have this in common to do legal debates as well, and as well to maintain contacts on the long term for career as well. So I would like to thank everybody, of course, as well as the coach for preparing for this match. So Mr. Savdar, Miss Donskaya, Mr. Nagori, and Miss Medjanova. So what will happen is that you'll receive obviously the assessments soon. The 2 best teams of this group, this is the group A. The 2 best teams will be qualified to have a match against the 2 best teams of the group B. But in both sides of the board concerning the elimination phase. That you will know soon. It means when we'll have this networking moment is when actually we'll be talking about what comes in terms of schedule of match, etc. And of course, in advance, we propose you the dates so you can tell us date and time at the end of April, beginning of May. So I would like to thank as well my colleague, Ms. Urbanova. Many thanks for hosting it. I give you the floor for the very last word.
Thank you very much, and indeed, thank you to both teams. Well done on today and previous matches. You might actually have the opportunity to also meet in person. The final week in The Hague is open to all participating teams, no matter the outcome of individual rounds. We'll be, during the second phase of the competition, we'll be sending out also a newsletter in regards to registration to potential visits to international organizations in the city. So keep an eye out and have a good rest of the day, and hope also a good end to the week.
Many thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.